This video will walk through the first activity for the estate agents database. Part 1 is to load the estate agents database. This can be downloaded from Moodle. When you open the database, there is one table. This is called Properties. Your first task is to create a query to find all the records that have 3 bedrooms and to sort those in ascending price order. A query is a way of questioning a table or set of tables in the database. In order to create a query, please follow this method. Click on Create, choose Query Design and add the Properties table. Close this window. Here is a list of all the fields available in the Properties table, plus an additional item which is the asterisk. The asterisk will display all of the fields in the Properties table. In this case, we are not going to use the asterisk. I'm using the Control key and the Shift key in order to select all of the fields. I can drag them down into the field listing and let go to display them at the bottom. The query asks us to find all records that have 3 bedrooms. So the first thing I'm going to do is to the column that is relating to the bedrooms. I'm then going to move down until I'm in the row which says criteria. So the criteria are the questions that we're going to ask the database. In this case, I want to show everything that has 3 bedrooms. Before I enter the criteria, I want to double check to see that all of the records are displaying as I expect. So I'm going to click the Run button, and here I can see a datasheet view which shows all of the fields and all of the records in this table. I can see here that the data in the beds column is in numerical format. Therefore, if I wish to search for a 3-bedroom property, I would need to enter the number 3 in the criteria. Go back into the design view, and in the row that says criteria and in the column that says beds, I'm going to enter the number 3. This is the first part of this question. Create a query to find all records that have 3 bedrooms. Again, I'm going to run the query and this will display all of the records. As you can see now, only records with 3 bedrooms are displayed in the datasheet view. If I go back to the design view again, I'm going to look at the next part of the activity, which says to sort in ascending price order. I'm going to have a look at the columns until I get to the column called Price. Now I'm going to have a look at the row for sorting. I have the option to sort ascending, sort descending, and not sorted. Not sorted would show the records in the default order that they were entered into the database. I'm going to sort in ascending price order, so I select the ascending option. Again, I'm going to run the query and move over to the pricing column and show that the smallest price is at the bottom, which is the first record. The final thing that I need to do with this query is save it as 3 bedrooms. So on the keyboard I'm going to do Control S, and remembering the naming convention of the queries, type in query 3 bedrooms. As you can see now, it has the name 3 bedrooms. I will close the query. Using this drop-down menu next to tables, I'm going to display all access objects. Now I have the query 3 bedrooms showing, and I can access that at any point by double-clicking it. Double-clicking it is the same as running the query. The next thing I'm going to do is to create a query that has a location ending with on. To do this, I'll need to use a wildcard character. So I'm going to quickly run through the first steps to get the table properties into a new query. Again, I'm going to use the Shift key to add in all of the fields. Going along to the location, I'm going to move down to the criteria and enter the wildcard character, which is the asterisk, and then the word on. That means that it has anything which ends in on. If I put the wildcard character the other side of the word on, it would mean anything that starts with the word on. Going to sort in descending order on location, click run, and it's found 3 locations. You can see that they are in descending order and they all end in on. Save as location, so again I'm going to do Control S, type in QRY, then location. It's appeared on the left hand side in my list of locations. That means that I can go back to that query at any time and run it again. Now we come on to the next part, which is to create a query to find properties with a single or double garage and sort in ascending order of property reference, saving the query as parking. So again, I'm going to go to Create, Query, add in properties, and dump all of the fields down below. In order to find properties with a single or double garage, I just need to double check to see what criteria I should be adding in. So it should be S or D. Back to design view, and this time we're going to use multiple queries. So under the garages column, I'm going to put S and then D. Because they're underneath each other, that means or, and you can see that at the side. If they were side by side, then it would be and. Got to sort in ascending order of property reference. And I'm just going to double check to see that there's no unexpected data. So it is only showing single or double garages, and it is in ascending order of property reference. Control S to save the query. Now we're going to move on to a different type of query now. We could just manually type in the change of price for the property at Combe Down. However, There is a type of query that we can run called an update query that will do that for us. This might be useful if we don't want to browse each record in the database individually. Again, I'm going to go and create a new query, add in the table properties, and the first thing I'm going to do is add in everything using a star. And I want the location to be Coombe Down. And the column I'm going to be changing is the price. So I'm just going to run that to make sure that it does select a single record. And you can see that only one row is shown. The reason we run it before we change it into an update query is to ensure that we're not going to update the wrong record. So go back into Design View, go to the top bar here and change it to an update query. It says make the query update the data in an existing table. The look of the query has changed. We now have this row called Update To. And here I can type in the price that we want to change this property to. Now I can view the record just using the datasheet view. Oh, sorry, I forgot to remove that. Can view this record in datasheet view, and it's showing the price. That's the item that's going to be updated. Go back to Design View and use the Run option, and as it says there, it performs the action specified in the query. It does give you a warning. This warning is expected, and if you're confident, you should click Yes. So I'm going to save this query, Control S, and then I'm going to go into the table, Properties, find the Coombe Down property and double check that its price has been reduced to £115,000. The next thing that the activities ask you to do is add an additional record to the database. So I'm going to go down to the new record line, and you can see that it's the new record line by the asterisk at the start, and type in the details. So I've entered in all of the details, and it doesn't say whether it's for sale or not. The next thing I need to do is to change the property ref 4503 to read 2503. Again, I'm going to use an update query to do that. So create, query, add the properties table. I'm going to add in using the star and the property ref. So the star allows me just to quickly see all the fields in the table, but it's easy to remove that column when we turn it to an update query. And I'm going to filter for a property ref 4503. Double check that that exists. Yes, it does. So go back into the design view, remove the properties, select all statement, change it to an update query, and enter the number that I want to update the property ref to. If I view it, it should show that one field, which it does. So now I'm going to run it, confirm that I want to update the row, double check, and there is now no property reference which has 4503 as its value. Just going to quickly save that. And close that query down. So the next thing that it asks me to do is set the property ref field to primary key status. We do that within the database table itself. I'm going to open it, change it into design view, and add the property primary key. Set a validation rule down here so that only entries less than 5,000 are acceptable. The validation text should say all. I'm going to save that. So I now get a message box saying data integrity rules have been changed. The data integrity rule is this validation rule here. Existing data may not be valid for the new rules. Okay, well, we haven't double checked by looking, but what we can do is, rather than validate against all the existing records, we can say no, and then it will only apply to the new records. So inside the estate agent's activities, it doesn't specify which one you should do. The recommendation is that you would click no if you are confident that it wouldn't need to be validated. Okay. Within the database estate agents, create a new table vendors with the field names and data as in the table below. So I'm going to go to create table. I'm going to go straight into design view. Okay, so the first name that I'm going to have in there is the property ref. I don't want it to be auto number because I don't want it to auto increment. You can see from the values down here that they don't jump up one at a time. The next thing I'm going to have is the title. I'm going to keep that as short text and change the field size to something sensible, say 5. The initial, Again, short text. And keep that to 1. Surname, short text, keep that to around 50. Date registered. Be date and time. And number of viewings would be a number. I should just be careful to label the fields exactly as they've been specified in the table. Okay. So I've added in all of the basic fields. Now I need to double check that I have done all of the actions. So I need to set the date field to a long date format. And the property ref field does have primary key status. Just going to save that. Create a one-to-one relationship between the property ref field in the properties table and the property ref field in the vendors table. So I need to close this table first. Go to Database Tools, Relationships, add in both, join them together. Notice that I didn't select enforce referential integrity because I've remembered that I haven't added in all of the fields into the vendors table. So I'm just going to do that and then I'll come back and enforce referential integrity. Right, I've entered all the data now, and it's important to have the data in both tables before you enforce referential integrity, or to have no data in both tables when you enforce referential integrity. And the reason is that the link enforces the join between the property ref here and the property ref in the other table. Okay, so now just go back to the database tools. Double click on the join. My mouse will work. Right, so it seems that the property reference isn't the same data type. So we've got it here as short text. I'm just going to count up how many records are in here. Well, we've got a lot more records in the properties table, so I won't be able to enforce referential integrity. I will, however, change the data type in the vendors of the property reference to be short text. So I'll delete the relationship. Then I'll change it to short text. Then I'll re-add the relationship. As I thought, can't enforce referential integrity because it doesn't have the same property references in both tables. So now I have to use both tables to create a query to display all properties registered after the 1st of the 8th, 2003. So create, query, I'm going to add them both. So I'm going to add in all the properties, and then I'm going to take that out. I'm going to display surname, number of viewings. Right, so surname, number of viewings, price and location, and I also need to add in the date registered, although I won't display that, but that will be used for my criteria. So it's got to be for properties registered after the 1st of the 8th, 2003. So I'm going to do more than you notice it puts a hash symbol around the date and time format to indicate that it's date and time. I'm going to untick the box to show that field, view it, and it says that there's 2 properties. So I'm going to save it. Call it query properties registered. And the final thing that it says to do in the activity is to close the database. So provided everything's been saved, you can just use the top right close button.